And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Last time we found ourselves landing on Taris in an abandoned apartment in the rough side of town, where aliens are being harassed, people are hiding from crime lords, and the Sith are patrolling and taking over everything. It's a proper authoritarian government rundown piece of town. And we found out that we can speak to aliens, which allows us to basically interrogate everybody for information. We know there's a local crime lord, and that we should be looking in the Undercity for the Jedi Bastila.
Tong haitwam jijum lumpa. Ita poe tikito. Dolpa da bonqualeo gondona chuchut. Kachi chu ita dundoga. Yumalita kuto dun. Chilamulane ni dubobo. Wonga kumbisjang ba mulira.
So, notice he says illegal aliens. You can be mean or you can just be courteous. Pleased to meet you, Laram. My name is Max Pro.
Runda di hotonga kun hankabi. Wana kun bez ching palamule. Tunking ba nunotek. Tugning chatukunde mulirabes.
Cool. So, this game did something to the Star Wars lore that I thought was actually quite ingenious. They made melee combat a viable thing in 4,000-year-old Star Wars lore by introducing the fact that people have started investing in energy shields, and that's why hand-to-hand is a thing, or sword-to-sword is a thing again. So that will be explained in this dialogue. So what's so great about these energy shields? Yes, but lightsabers do a lot of damage in the first place.
Dolbabank, wale oganda naru chuchut. Mogesha ponka bola wana chigne. Bamule slimo podadada nanga kumbist mule rabes.
And I can tell you from experience that they aren't any good at all against a simple vibroblade. That's why the Republic has been training soldiers in hand-to-hand and melee combat.
Cool. So, you can... oh, this is interesting. Where did this technology come from?
Tong haitwam jijum lumpa. Dita poe tikito. Dolpa da bonqualeo gondona chuchut. Kachi chu ita dundoga. Yumalita kuto dun. Chilamulane ni dubobo. Wonga kumbisjang ba mulira. Tagum justach miki.
So they're a recent addition.
Kachi chu ita bondunga. Dolpa bank wale oganda naru chuchut. Mogesha ponka bola wana chigne. Bamule slimo podadada nanga kumbist mule rabes. Chi gratu loda pograshi oni un kompa.
And it's part of the reason the Sith were able to actually go blow for blow against the Republic.
Dolpa da bonguale canduna cuchuchut. Cavadum cupilio botenya. Bonanai cuchu.
And that's why the ion blaster that we got back on the Endar Spire, along with the prototype vibroblade, are really useful when you are going to be fighting anybody with shields. I've heard enough about these shields. So he's trying to sell you a shield, telling you that they're rare and they're expensive and everything like that. So he has a shop over here and such. I'm not gonna ask him why he has a shop over here, but I am gonna ask what he meant about illegal aliens.
Tak, bis tu bonko koki magbanka. Ting para chiska mule tunarana nu prata tunko sicha.
So there is a segregation thing going on.
Nisha julorcha kinkuno bulera chikun. Janshak bulara. Umrao chiska duchi. On chuban jishka yanki. Titoke gratun kun chicha kun king kacha chonobra. Bogra wala no tumba cha. Nechi chuna chubaching lorda itakun. We tam borakatong mulira shang turung ni na potata twangachun tize. Ikrutu haga jijiwa.
So the justification is they're better off than the squatters. Okay. Aren't you worried about getting caught? So notice this is not a Sith thing, this is a Taris thing. This is before the Sith even came and occupied over here. The Tarisian government was anti-alien. And we can see what he has for sale. Cool. So he has a bunch of combat suits, parts, a stun baton, which is very useful, probably early game in terms of it can stun people, some vibroblades, long swords, quarterstaff, which requires 2 hands to be able to use effectively, sonic weapons, repeating blasters. Pretty good stuff, but he's overpriced, very overpriced, and I'm not keen on buying a lot of things over here. But for now, oh, you can also bash doors instead of unlocking them, but we have Carth, who has a basic idea of security, so he can just open the door for us.
On it. It's open.
And we have a Twi'lek. Oh, that's very nice actually.
Yes?
If we talk to the Twi'lek. Oh, and we're shaking the Twi'lek down, I guess. I promise you, everything over here is going to be very valuable to us when we're, saving the galaxy. It's for the galaxy. This is to leave the zone. That is a Quarren. Then this game came out in 2003.
Ready.
So I'm not 100% sure how much of these were new additions. I do know that there are some big additions to this game. As soon as we leave Taris, they did a lot of good work in terms of fleshing out the lore. There's an Ithorian. Again, all of them are over here. Super defensive. The only person who seemed to have any audacity, I wouldn't say audacity, any sort of guts to challenge us was the human. So they are over here worried about getting caught. This one's completely empty. Carth here is a soldier. He has a lot more hit points and gets a lot of feats. That's Twi'lek. That's Janitor Kadir, I believe.
Hey there, watch where you're walking. I just cleaned those floors.
Hey, old man. Get off my lawn. Alright. Sorry, I didn't know.
Well, alright then, no hard feeling.
Nice old man.
My name's Kadir. I'm the janitor for this building. You must be the new tenant here, right? You ever thought they'd rent that abandoned apartment?
Yeah, sure, I'm the new
You
tenant.
look like an off-worlder. What happened? You get stuck here because of the quarantine? Can't see any other reason someone would want to rent that old apartment.
I would like to ask you some questions.
Don't know how much I can tell you, but seeing as how you're new here, I guess I can try and help you out.
So, good tip. Staff, this whole blue-collar work, they typically know a lot. I'm not talking about the game, I'm talking about real life as well. but they typically know a lot. So I can ask about Taris.
Decent enough place to live, I guess, except for the lower levels. That's where the swoop gangs hang out. Just stay in Upper City and you'll be fine. You also might want to check out the cantina. I used to go there when I was younger. A good place to get a drink and find out what's going on in Upper City.
So that's our next destination, the cantina.
Don't know how much I can tell you, but
I want to
seeing
ask you
as how you're
something else.
new here, I guess I can try and help you out.
Now where can I get some equipment?
Well, the best place to go is probably Kebley Yurt's store. She's right across from the cantina, so you can stop in for a drink if you get thirsty while you're shopping. Just keep following the apartment complex ring until you come to the elevator. It'll take you out to the upper streets there. And from there, just head south a ways. You can't miss it.
Cool, so he's given us directions to both the cantina and Kelba Yurt's
Don't know
emporium.
how much I can tell you, but seeing as how you're new here, I guess I can try and help you out.
We can ask a question that sounds like we're about to start an insurgency. What do you think of the Sith in this quarantine?
Not much of an issue for me, you know. I ain't never left Taris, and they ain't never gonna. A lot of other folks are sure riled up about it, but I don't really know much about it. I prefer to keep to myself mostly. But there's plenty of people at the cantina who'll be more than happy to tell you what they think about the Sith and their quarantine.
Cool, I'll be going now.
I should get back to work anyway. I'll probably see you around here most of the time. The building doesn't clean itself, you know.
Yes, yes. So, I'm all for Kabir getting his own game. He seems to be the hero of this story. And we made it back to our apartment. So that is the tour of this small area. It seems this game has sped up the running when in the mobile port than the PC. Cool. So we're going to go up to the upper city south. And here we get the first look at the beautiful skyline of Taris. Take it out. There's our escape pod that we crashed in. Take it in. Big wide open spaces. And now we're going to learn, if we walk all the way that way, it's going to give us a prompt that we should speak to Carth and try and get to know him better. You end up speaking from like, well, let's say 5 meters away. So I'm just going to come up closer to him and actually speak to him.
Yes, what's on your mind?
I'd like to know a bit more about you, Carth.
Me? Well, I've been a star pilot for the Republic for years. Seen more than my share of wars. I fought in the Mandalorian Wars before all this started. But with all that, I've never experienced anything like the slaughter these Sith animals can unleash. Not even the Mandalorians were that senseless. My homeworld was one of the first planets to fall to Malik's fleet. The Sith bombed it into submission, and there wasn't a damn thing our Republic forces could do to stop them.
Cool. So, exposition. Carth's a soldier. He's done this whole soldier thing. He was there fighting against something called the Mandalorian Wars before this Jedi Civil War took place, and Malak attacked his home planet. If you're astute to it, he feels pretty bad. And you could think that you could read some guilt into it. The right thing to do is to say, I'm sorry, Carth, this must be very painful for you.
I'm just a soldier. I go where the fleet admirals tell me to. I follow my orders and I do my duty. It's just... doesn't seem right that doing that means I failed them. I didn't.
He's been dealing with a lot of issues, you can tell. You can pry them. Do you mean the people of your home world, or hey, I'm sorry, Carth, I didn't mean to upset you.
No, I know. Don't worry about it. I must not be making much sense. You probably mean well with your questions. I'm just not accustomed to talking to my past very much. At all, actually. I'm more used to taking action, keeping my mind focused on the business at hand. So let's just do that. If you have more questions, ask them later.
So we find out that Carth has some demons that he's dealing with.
Yes, what's on your mind?
but he does tell us a bit more about Taris.
The planet's all one big city, but its golden years are long past. And things have gotten worse since the Sith occupied it. From what I hear, the wealthy live on the tops of all the tall towers, and if you're poor, you live down in the shadows. And it gets worse the lower you go. Well, that's all I can think of at any rate.
Alright, cool, never mind.
You got it.
I'm assuming that if we go back to the apartment, we'll be able to speak to him more about the events of what's happened. Salvagers are checking. Is it the escape pod? Yeah, cool. So if you remember what Kadir told us, nice aesthetic. Look at that. The whole floating modern art type thing. You walk in here, and then I remember you come over here and you look at these things, and they used to be selectable, but they were viewing screens for arena fights. And this is the equipment emporium. This is where we can get a bunch of stuff. And I think what I'll do, and the cantina's down that way. So we can speak to Kebla Yurt.
Hello there. I haven't seen you in my shop before. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kebla Yurt. Welcome to the Equipment Emporium. You looking to buy some supplies? My shop's the largest one in all of Upper Taris. Best selection on the planet. Whatever you need, I've got. Well, mostly.
Mostly? What do you mean by that?
The Sith confiscated all my heavy weapons, and they impounded all my ships and swoop bites. But I've still got a real nice selection, if you're interested.
Cool. So, first off, diversity. 2003, really ahead of its time. But also, she has one of the better shops on Taris. So you can ask her. To trade, which I'll probably do off screen because I don't want to fiddle around for ages while recording. And I want to ask you some questions.
Anything I can do to help a potential customer out. What do you want to know?
You can ask them how you feel about Sith. Let's not do that. Do you know anything about these escape pods that crashed here on Taris?
I heard a couple of pods crash down in the Undercity. I bet the crash sites have already been stripped clean by the Sith, though. Unless the swoop gangs or Davix men got there first.
Okay, and now we can ask about some of the factions here. What can you tell me about the swoop gangs?
I don't have anything good to say about those swoop gangs. Zooming around on their swoop bikes, terrorizing the lower city like a bunch of animals. Things weren't so bad when the Hidden Becks were running the show. But ever since the rise of the Black Vulcar gang, the lower city has been nothing short of a war zone. The Sith haven't even bothered trying to maintain order down there. And I heard a rumor that Davix's own people are having problems with the Black Vulcars now.
Okay, so this game also has gang wars. It really does have everything. What do you know about Davik?
Oh, Davix's a legitimate businessman, if you get my drift. Smuggling, slaving, extortion. They say he's a member of the Exchange, the big intergalactic criminal organization.
I've heard of the Exchange. Bad organization to cross. But if anyone has blockade-breaking ships, however, it's them.
I have to pay him a protection fee every month, but it's reasonable. And I get most of my inventory through Davik and his suppliers. I'm just smart enough not to ask where it came from, understand?
So, it's also got the Mafia. You can try and call him out. Is he working with the Sith?
Davik hates the Sith as much as anybody. The quarantine has put a real dent in his operations, too. But he's keeping a low profile as long as the occupation lasts. Davik stays out of the way, and the Sith don't bother him. The swoop gangs could learn a thing or two from this tidy little arrangement, instead of always going after each other.
So, Davik is one of the more powerful parties who's interested in getting off of the planet, which we should remember for later. General info on Taris, please.
Oh, You're one of those off-worlders, aren't you? Come to Taris for a short business trip and
Yes,
end up
business,
stuck here
business.
because of the Sith quarantine, right? Oh, you can't be too happy. Trapped on an unfamiliar world and all. But Taris isn't so bad, as long as you stay in the upper city. Just try to avoid the Sith. And stay out of the lower city. The swoop gangs are totally out of control. Even Davik's men are having trouble down there.
Okay,
Good
basically...
day to you then. Remember to come back to my shop if you ever need any supplies.
So yeah, basically moreover we understand. It is literally a planet where lower class, upper class, or an upper middle class are literal in terms of the architecture of the whole city. You live in the high rises, you are doing well. You live down low, you're a criminal. And that was a bunch more of exposition. We got to know a lot more about Carth. I'm just checking my recording time. I think we're gonna stop it there. Next we'll go check out the cantina and start trying to find out a bit more, but I'll take the time to sell some stuff in off screen. But until then, I'll see you guys later.